Creek just north of town, but Indians still harassed them, and so they had to close the station, and they moved the people from that station down into Jefferson County to the Beargrass station. But it didn't deter people from coming across the mountains or down the river from Pennsylvania, and that's where my ancestors came from. Was from Virginia and Pennsylvania. Sue, you want to add anything?
How about introducing yourself?
I'm Sue Carol Perry, and I'm the county clerk in Shelby County, and Dorothy, I'm just real fortunate to have her because, like she said, she's a volunteer, and most all of it has got to be in her head. I mean, you just heard her tell. I didn't know half of this stuff she just told us.
Okay. What do you want to know?
She takes care of all the current business, and you know what that is. It is really,
Right.
it just swallows you when you get in there, the paperwork and the computers and all of that. So I'd rather do what I'm doing than what she has to do.
Let me ask you about, maybe we can pull these two bits of information together. We're trying to help each county promote tourism, and also I understand that there's a particular facility here in the county. Could you tell us about that, as well as what people would like to come and see in the county as a tourist site?
We're very fortunate that we have a drawing card with the Wakefield Scarce Gallery that is located in the old Science Hill Girls School that was established in 1825 by the Tevis family, and then carried on by the Pointer family until 1936 when it was closed. It is a lovely gallery and has gorgeous antiques from all over, especially from England. And people come here when they have the Christmas showing every winter for in bus loads and car loads and so forth. So that adds a lot to the county's income and its publicity too. So we feel like that is one reason we want to preserve as much of the history of the county, because when they come they say what a beautiful town this is, and they like the dogwoods that have been planted by former mayor, and they like the old buildings, and they like to see them preserved. And so we're trying to get people more interested in keeping the old buildings instead of tearing them down and putting up something modern that won't last nearly as long as these old buildings have lasted.
You know, Shelby County has always been really thought of as a farming county. I don't know if we still are, but at one time we were the biggest milk-producing county. But in the last 10 or 12 years, we've had a lot of small factories to pop up. We have an industrial foundation, and we have an industrial park, and we've had several just recently. We've had the bud plant that's announced they were coming. Fortunately, Shelby County's never really had a low unemployment rate. So I think that this bud plant's not only going to help us, it's going to help Spencer and probably Henry and Anderson County, the counties surrounding us.
What can you tell us about the church across the street?
Well, the Methodist Church was one of the earliest churches in the county. The very first one was out in the country, of course. They're called Rockbridge Methodist Church. I believe that was one of the first ones, and there were several out in the country. But when they established this early in the last century, in the 1800s, it was in this general location. And the building that we have here now is one of the oldest church buildings that we have in town, along with possibly the Episcopal Church and the Catholic Church. And several years ago, they had a disastrous fire that gutted it practically the day after Christmas. But the Methodists and the townspeople and everybody were eager to keep the church here on this spot because of its historical value. So they were able to rebuild in the same church outer building. Now they have not yet gotten their steeple up, but they have everything else is on the outside is like it was at the time that it was finally completed. And it has been a very progressive church. It's a very warm, friendly, growing church in this community.
Versailles, the county seat of Woodford County. Woodford County population 18,706. Area square miles 192. Rank 107th. Woodford County is located in the 6th Congressional District.
We're in Versailles, Kentucky, or Versailles. The county seat is located here for Woodford County. Across the street we have the Woodford County Courthouse. And to my right we have a gentleman who has graciously volunteered to answer a few questions for us. I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and his role here in the county.
I'm Ron Wells, and I'm the curator of the Woodford County Historical Society.
Okay. Ron, what can you tell us about the history of the county? When was it formed?
The county was formed in 1798. We're coming up to our bicentennial, of course. And it was formed as one of the 9 original counties of Woodford County. At one time, Woodford County went all the way to the Ohio River. It took in about 11 counties that are now around, but at that time it was all Woodford County all the way to the Ohio River.
Okay. Who was Woodford County named after?
The county was named for a Revolutionary War general, General Woodford.
What can you tell us about the courthouses?
The courthouse that's standing on the present site was built in the 1970s after a devastating fire of the old courthouse. There has always been a courthouse on Courthouse Square. The first one was built in 1790 by Jesse Grady, and it was built out of Buckeye logs at the cost of $22.50 to the county. The second courthouse, which also stood on the same square, was built out of stone. The need for the second courthouse was, of course, a larger facility. It was built by Henry Tompkins at a cost of $1,500 to the county. This served the county until 1813, when the third courthouse was erected. This one was erected out of brick and was 3 stories. It was incorporated in 1880 to the courthouse that preceded this one. That courthouse was very Victorian in its style, and not only did it take in the 1813 courthouse, but it also took in the 1794 courthouse. When it burnt, the reason why the records were saved was because they were stored in the old 1794 section of the courthouse, and because of the large stone walls, the fire did not get to the records. That's how come we have such good records here for genealogical purposes.
Are there any other historical landmarks that you know of in the county?
We have over 66 stone buildings in Woodford County. We're one of the few counties in the United States that has so many still being used for their original purposes. Just in Versailles, we have probably around 100-some historic homes and structures. The Historical Society is in a church building that was erected in 1819 and served as one of the first Christian churches, or the Campbellite churches, in Kentucky. We have many internationally known horse farms in Woodford County. We are developing a tourism industry. We do have small, clean, light industry.